another sort of sample that you can use for a recent graduate resume. So for example, if you see, the most important thing is your name on the top. And one more thing which you should understand about these two things is that uh, whether it's Harvard style or this style, your photograph is not a part of it, right? So make sure you do not include this. And then if you see the address is written, the postal code, phone number, email address, that's also important. So if you see a slight change in the organization of the things, but the things are pretty much the same. Now, the objective should not be vague, job objective. Now, this is very important because if you are applying for an organization, you should write an objective. So the objective should be very clear. So if you say that I want to work for a competitive organization, now this is pretty vague. Now, for what position you want to work, and and in what capacity you are going to be beneficial for the organization. In what do you mean by competitive environment or competitive industry? So to work as a management trainee, right? So you should be clear about your role in the organization in an industry that uses my education in management and marketing. So you are not just supposed to be using words like competitive industry or something like that. You should be very careful and clear about what your role will be and where will you be performing those activities, that role, with opportunity to eventually be a senior executive in marketing. Now, if you see this particular objective, you are mentioning the position, the specific position you are interested in, and what sort of company or the industry or what sort of department of that organization you want to work for, and the ultimate goal that you have in your mind, which you want to achieve by working on this position. So your job objective should be very clear. If it is not clear, if your objective is not clear, how are you going to contribute to the organization? So this is important, that it should be simple and clear. That's it. Sometimes you use objectives that are borrowed from others and that are not relevant to our position. So you need to tailor this objective. If you are applying for another position, you should actually tailor it according to the position that you are working for or you are applying for. So make sure that you do this. Specialization, you can add this. If you remember in the Harvard style also, we were mentioning any specialization under, but that was under the heading of that the education that we received. So however, in this style, you can use this also. Specialization, heading a specialization in all capital letters, and then you mention in bullet forms. Okay. Now, next thing is that you mention your education. So see again, bullet form. So postgraduate diploma in business management from where? From Amity Business School, comma, Noida. Now, this is kind of a place which you should mention, and your institution and the city or the state should be separated by a comma. Make sure that you do this, as we do. Sakkar IB University, comma, Sakkar. So if you are mentioning the city name, you should mention, you should use a comma to separate them, and then colon and the year that you did it. In the same is the case with the other three qualifications. Okay, scholarships and awards. All scholarships, prizes and awards won in the college are mentioned here. So most of the times students are, sir, we do not have, for example, any scholarship, or we do not have any awards. So what should we do? See, anything, it is, first of all, understand that these things are not hard and fast. If you think that something is not there, so you can just omit a heading. For example, in the previous template, we could see that we could omit the heading of leadership and we could mention skills at that place and then other things. or we can just write skills and interest and focus on them. However, if you see, there will be something in your academic career that you can highlight in order to grab the opportunity. Or if there is anything, there is nothing, for example, to just omit it and talk about any other achievement or experience, right? And again, in terms of achievement, if you see, or any sort of award, you can mention all the volunteer work that you have done. Okay, so that can also be a part of your work experience as well. But sometimes your experience, your work for a particular society or particular kind of community is so strong that you receive something as an award, kind of a sheet, kind of a certificate, or anything. So you should mention any of them here. Strengths. Obviously, you should know your strengths. Highlight strengths that will help you in the job that you are applying for. Again, mention the strengths that are relevant to the job, not generally. Okay, so if you are applying for a job that puts you in the field more often rather than office work, so mention all the strengths that are aligned with the field work rather than the office work. Okay, so work experience, instead of writing no experience, mention all activities with which you have been associated as a student. So that's the important part of this CV, of the resume, that you must include any of the experience that you have got by working as a volunteer, as an active participant for any society or any organization. Make sure that you have something to grab the interest of the employer. Okay, and once again, if you see, awarded, organized, and worked, conducted. So once again, even in the developer of this CV is using action verbs. So use these action verbs quite often rather than just using personal pronouns. Once again, if you see here, you will not see any personal pronoun. So you'll see focus on actions rather than any sort of other thing.